Hi, Saul Klein at the Association Executive Institute in Austin, Texas. This is April 1st, 2019. I'm here with the CEO of the National Association of Realtors, my friend Bob Goldberg.
April
Bob,
Fools.
April Fools. It's great to see you, and thanks for taking the time to meet with us
Absolutely.
and to chat with us about things that we think and you think maybe are important that we need to tell the members that they need to know about, realtors need to know about. And let's start off. Yesterday we
Yeah.
listened to you talk about this day in the life, and the light bulb went on in John and my head. We thought, you know what? If staff understands what realtors do, it just makes the service that much better. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. As I think all of you know, I have made it my mantra that members come first. All of our employees need to live that and experience that every day. But in order to do that effectively, you have to understand what our members' lives are like when they're out in the trenches. A very prominent member told me, and it has just always stuck with me many years ago, that realtors wake up every single day unemployed
Yep.
until the next deal happens. And, I've always experienced, having been in the industry over 30 plus years, that you learn from our members that only bad things happen from contract to closing. Good things don't happen. There's always something that
how it
screws something
works.
up.
Yep.
Well, for our employees, the 350 employees of NAR, in order to better serve our members and put them first, you got to walk in their shoes.
Yeah.
You can't just tell them, these are what our members do. So I wanted to make it a mandate that every employee must go through what I call a day in the life of a realtor. You have to go out there, shadow them for the day, experience what they go through, attend sales meetings, go to broker meetings, hang out at the board, look at what happens with our members, the types of experiences. So we've made that a requirement of employment. We've also set it up so that they do it every year. I'm proud to say that
So it's
every
repetitive. They do
oh
it.
yeah, it's not just a one and done.
Oh, that's great.
Every employee went through it last year. That's the year we did it. They're already in process of doing it again now in 2019. Same kind of thing, except this year we're going to add another element to it. I think you've heard us talk about our commitment to excellence
Yep.
program. That's free to members.
Yep. I started that myself.
I encourage all members. We've had over 17,000 members now already sign up and are engaged already in the program. I want our employees to take several of those modules
Yeah.
to say, again, as a condition of employment, there's pieces that they can better understand what our members go through. If our employees understand what our members' lives are like and can be empathetic to it, they'll serve them better.
Better
because
service.
that way our employees can say, hey, I understand if a member's calling or I'm dealing with them,
Yeah.
and there's a frustration or something we can do to help make that member's experience better. That's what they're there to do. I've also added another component to the experience of a day in the life, is that I have created a program with my team called our Executive Outreach Program. And so I take all of our senior executives, all my senior VPs, all of our vice presidents, and certainly the CEOs involved in this as well, and they're assigned one of the 13 regions. Every one of them.
Oh, we noticed that
Yeah.
yesterday. We thought that was great.
So what that means is that there's always the element of by our boards, the AEs, the regional vice presidents, the members, the brokers. Like, I need to contact NAR, but where do I start?
Yeah.
I mean, where do I go? And yeah, you can call an 800 number or whatever is the best way. I want our top executives out in the field, meeting at region meetings, at board meetings, so that our members know that, hey, in order to engage, it's not just on social media, it's also engaging with them in person, going back to the old-fashioned way.
Face to face.
Face to face, and say to our members, we're here. And I got to tell you, I think you saw it in the audience yesterday with several of the thousand of the AEs in there, when we again reinforced that we have people that are not only here for you to help navigate and contact, we're actually going to come out and visit with you and be present and engage. We think that's the most important thing that we can do on behalf of our members.
Well, I think it's phenomenal because you really, we've talked to some people that are out of touch with NAR.
Right.
Realtor on the street often, they know that NAR is making decisions, but they don't know why, and they don't. I had a comment, well, I don't even know who NAR is.
Well, and that's what I'm trying to help overcome. I always look at it this way. I love when members, I'm very active on social media, as you know. So
For years.
I'll tell, for years, I'll tell the audience that go to my CEO Facebook page, go to my LinkedIn page. I engage with people. I have tens of thousands of followers. I respond to everybody. I'm engaged with them. But I tell you, the important thing is that when you get people involved face to face, that's the best opportunity you have to hear what members have to say. I've always said this: I love when members love what NAR does, and I hope that number continually increases. I've told every one of my staff my goal is to have 1.3 million people say NAR is the best deal in town.
Yeah.
But that's a uphill challenge. That's
That's
a lot
a
of
big
people.
job. Yeah.
But I might as well say that's the goal we have. That's number one. Number two, I can actually handle when members are unhappy with us, because at least they're expressing something.
Engaging.
They're engaging. The ones that I worry about are the ones that are indifferent and don't know NAR.
Yeah.
They're dues-paying members, and they don't get it with what we do because we have not done what we need to do in our job. They're busy trying to live their lives, sell to customers, trying to get listings, doing showings. And we got to figure out how to not intrude in their lives, but be an ally in their business so they can be successful. So I've really challenged our team with our leadership team, the elected members. How do we deal with those indifferent people? Because those are the majority.
Yeah,
and
for
in this
sure.
day and age, trying to capture mind share, that's what our challenge is. So we're up to the challenge. And I have said to every one of them, when do I declare victory and success? When 1.3 million people turn around and say, Bob, we get it, and we love NAR, and it's worth every penny of our dues.
Well, you know what? We can already see the difference.
Yeah.
I've been a realtor for 40 years,
Yeah.
40 plus years. I already can see a difference. So I can see this is really improving. How about a little bit on Second Century Ventures and then maybe the IOI program? John and I attended the first one last year, but I think that the Second Century Ventures, and I know you probably that idea comes from way back because you've been working on this kind of idea for a long time, but really seems to me to really be a big future project for NAR.
Right. Yeah, so we have a wholly owned subsidiary called Second Century Ventures. That is our for-profit technology investment company. So we have had some very notable investments over the years. DocuSign's a good example. We were one of the early investors in that company. We even helped that company bring electronic signatures as being valid and being able to be relevant in a real estate transaction. For years, it had to be hard-coded signatures with ink on paper right there. So we helped drive that change to make the transactions and other elements of real estate to be faster and more efficient. But when we created this company, Second Century Ventures, it was the goal of how do we find those emerging companies, or some established companies, but emerging companies that I have always said, I'm not fearful of the big names that you hear that are doing big things. I want to engage with them. I want to bring them under our tent. But what about the smaller guys and gals that are sitting in a garage creating the next killer app?
Yeah.
Those are the ones that will change our industry. They have no handcuffs on them. They have nothing that's going to hold them back. So our Second Century Ventures and REACH, which is our real estate accelerator program, targets small companies that have great technologies, are looking for a play in the real estate vertical. So we created this entity that invests in those startup companies. We get a piece of equity in those companies. The purpose of that is how do we help influence them and help make them successful? But more important, how are those companies going to help make our members successful? So to date, we have over 70 companies. Now hear this, 70 companies, Saul, that we have an equity investment in. Okay, with technologies and different applications, you can go to Second Century Ventures and REACH website under nar.realtor. You can see all those types of companies. Every year we bring in a new class of about 8, 9, 10 new technology product players that we think have a chance to influence this industry. And we hope that they're successful. We have a network of nearly 500 realtors, 500 that act as mentors and advisors to all those companies to help them succeed and understand how our industry works.
Well, so one of the reasons we think this is such a great idea is that we get approached all the time by new startup companies because they don't know the industry, they don't know the players, they need somebody to guide them through, they need the influence, and while I can provide that to them, there's nobody that can provide that to them like NAR.
Well,
and it just dwarfs anything else. So what a great way for a startup.
It is a great thing, and it helps those startups. But we don't just take anybody. You can imagine, because we are the industry giant. And when I say we, it's not just NAR as a operating entity. It's we as NAR with 1.3 million members. Right. And so, being that we are the ones that are driving what happens in real estate, and we again all of our members and agents and brokers and our states and our locals, they all drive, and our MLSs, they all drive the industry. So if we can bring in these folks, 8, 9, 10 players, we get hundreds of applications every single year to be considered to be in our program. So we do strict due diligence to make sure we're picking the best and the brightest. We're picking applications of products that can actually help change this industry. And if you put it in its simplest forms, the fact that we now have 70 companies, that means we have 70 realtor advocates as companies, as opposed to people that might be trying to disintermediate us. Yeah. I'd rather have them with us on this thing. So for them, what's great is that we're taking NAR's $5 billion brand and saying we want to help these technology companies and people that have solutions, make them work in our industry to the benefit of our members. And bringing in all types of players. One of the exciting things is there's a company that was called Elm Spring. It was also like a reach accelerator. They had about 20, 25 companies, Elm Spring, in the commercial arena. Yeah. And this is what's really exciting. So they had already made inroads on commercial technology players. We hadn't put as much focus on it as we needed to. We just acquired them in the last couple of months. So bringing with our 45 to 50 equity investments that we have in these technology players, we added another 25 companies to the mix. So now we're over 70 companies. And I'll give you an idea, those 70 companies with the 30 plus of our realtor benefits partners, and you know that program. Yep, well. That's companies like Chrysler and Dell, big FedEx, big players like that. The combined savings that our members get from those 70 reach partners and our 30 realtor benefits. So that's 100 companies that we have influence and partnerships with.
Yeah, and equity.
Almost $80 million in savings in our realtors' pockets last year alone. 800,000 of our members, I mean, it's a huge number. 800,000 out of 1.3 million members used one or more of those products to save money.
Well, this is an old equation. Yeah. We used to use it all the time, and that is, if you really looked at it, you'd see that if you use some of the things NAR provides, actually you pay no dues because you save the money.
You do, and that's our purpose, which is to make sure that the dues, which are $150 a year, just for dues, it's minimal. Mm-hmm. Now, but I recognize that every penny that NAR charges for dues is important because it has to create value for our members. Sure. And I don't want to play the game where some people say, well, $150 is the best deal in town. It's still $150 out of our members' pockets, and we damn well better make sure that we let our members know that we're doing all these things to make sure that they get value in return for that membership of being a realtor. So, like you said, so the goal is to be able to say, use some of our realtor benefits partners and some of the players that we work with. Their savings alone will more than cover your national dues. But more importantly, things that we do like in our advocacy area and on Capitol Hill puts the value of money in our members' pockets and their customers' pockets in terms of what we're doing with like 1031 exchanges, that the exemption for capital gains, all of which has been driven by NAR and major industry partners of ours. That's so important. So we have to have a voice and our foot in the advocacy area. So we do so much on behalf of our members, but the challenge is how do I get 1.3 million people to know everything we do for them? Yeah. And that's what, like I said, I'm going to help change that with my team and with our leadership team. We're so focused.
But we can already see that. The outreach is there, the engagement is there, the programs are there. Getting back to Second Century Ventures and Reach and the IOI, which is a component of that.
Right. So IOI, which you mentioned, stands for Innovation, Opportunity, and Investment. Now, I will tell you there's no one in the real estate vertical that does this. The idea there being is you bring some of those key technology players. Some of them are part of our Second Century Ventures and Reach, but others are some of like the FANG players. FANG, yep. Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, Google, and there'll be some new acronym when they add 5 more to those. Blockchain, it'll be FANGB or yeah. Whatever. The point being is bring those players that have a major influence on how technology is going to change the real estate vertical. Bring them under our tent at IOI. Yep. Let the members hear from people that may, in fact, not even be favorable to how this industry works. And I'm fine with that, because in order to ensure the opportunity to influence our industry, you have to be in a position to say, we are open to listening to what everybody's doing. That's a change for NAR.
Yeah.
Because we used to take it, which is, if you don't play in our sandbox,
We're NAR.
We're NAR, to hell with everybody.
That's right.
Well, you know what? That's how you'll get disintermediated, and that's how you'll die.
Yeah.
So it's a philosophy that our leadership team has had, along with certainly myself as CEO. Open up the tent, bring them in. Let's have people talk to us that we may not want to hear what their answer is, but I'd rather try to get them to play in our collective sandbox than them creating their own. So IOI, which is August 21st and 22nd, information will be up very shortly on that, on how to register. You go to nar.realtor. It'll be in Seattle. But last year when we did our introductory IOI, it brought not only those innovators around the world, which we're hoping to create opportunity for them and our members. The investment side, this is what makes it different.
It's got investors in it.
Over nearly $7 billion of capital investment dollars were sitting in that room.
Yeah.
Because if we can marry the investment play with the innovation, that will provide opportunity for our industry and for our members. Because it all comes down to a real basic play. If we don't do it, someone else is going to do it.
Yeah, and we're really the only ones doing it right now.
And so I want us to be the ones to say, let's define for our industry what is occurring that's going to help drive and innovate. It ought to be NAR, because if it's not us, who should be doing it?
Yeah, exactly. So we're talking IOI, Seattle. What's the date on that?
August 21st and 22nd and 23rd. We'll have information posted very shortly. Last year sold out. But I encourage our members and those that, you don't have to be a technoid for this. This is about seeing what emerging trends are happening that are going to change and influence. And the members that attended last year got the benefit of saying, here's things that are going to be coming down the pike very shortly. And I want to get ahead of this so I am relevant and staying on the cusp of leading edge technology.
You know, John and I go to a lot of these types of events. This was the best one of its type that we've ever been to.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Great job.
And we're always looking to make it better and make it more beneficial for our industry. And we invite people that are players, that are members, that wear the big R, and for people that come in that don't wear the R.
Yeah.
And that was a bit controversial.
Always is, huh?
It always is. But you know what? We've got to be more than just serving our members. Yes, that's our focus. That's who we're there for. But we have to have our eyes open to the other players that are going to change how our industry works. So let's bring them in too.
Yeah, this is the logical place for anybody that wants to create innovation and technology for real estate to go. It's to go talk to the National Association of Realtors. Why not?
Right.
What else we got to talk about? I'll talk a little bit about the leadership team. John and I yesterday sat in on the program at the Association Executive Institute, that opening event, and we were introduced to, and we know all the people, but we were introduced to the leadership team. And you know, it's a lot different team than we've seen in the past at NAR.
So let me tell you about them. They are some of the most brightest, creative, but more importantly, passionate and care so much about our members. That's why they've chosen to volunteer their time. And it's not like just showing up for a meeting. Our leaders, they're out there. I remember last year, Elizabeth was on the road. I think it was over 250, almost 300 days on the road.
Yeah.
John Smaby doing the same thing as our current president. But when I look at this leadership team, I got to tell you, I'm a very fortunate CEO. I've been in place now about 18 months, or slightly over 18 months. Time flies when you're having fun because we're doing some great things, but you can't do those great things as an executive team with my staff and all of our employees unless you are in lockstep with your leadership. I cannot tell you how phenomenal our leadership is, that they and our senior team are so locked in and cohesive in our strategy and our vision for our members. You know, years ago there was always the belief, because it happens at state and local associations, that maybe every year you get a new president in and, oh, this is the direction we're going this time, and next year we're doing this. I give so much credit to our leaders who look at this and they say, we need to stay on a consistent path. Yeah, we need to change as the industry changes, and we need to be in front of things, but it's not about us doing something and being one and done. So when people say to me, wow, this is a great new idea and program, I want people to know these are not like, we did it this year where it's out and that was last year's idea.
Yeah.
We take things and we continually build on that as a foundation and a platform. And it's because we have our great leadership team, this year led by President John Smaby out of Minnesota. Last year under Elizabeth, and when my first CEO, when I first came in as CEO, my first president was Bill Brown out of California. Next year's president is going to be Vince Malta.
Yep,
and
California.
then the president after that is going to be Charlie Oppler. And our treasurer, John Floor this year, and Tom Riley last year. I can sit there off the top of my head, know every one of them, because they are so passionate and in sync with what we're all trying to do. So we as an industry shouldn't be worrying about, oh, the next president is going to sit there and go down this other path. We will move down a path that makes sure that for once and for all, NAR is on the cutting edge and leading edge of driving our industry versus being reactive.
Yeah. Well, I also think a lot of realtors don't understand and realize that our volunteer leadership team are realtors.
Yeah.
Are people who are in the industry, have been in the industry.
they have
These
other-
are realtors. When we say NAR is us.
And they have other jobs other than doing this all 200-300 nights a year. They actually run their own businesses in this industry. So that's what is so amazing. I mean, the staff and senior staff, they employ us to do this. That is what our primary job is. That's what makes it so great, that taking these visionary leaders that are members in power and in trust to lead this organization, them being in lockstep with us, know that we can help make a difference in this industry. But you're right, they are our members, and they've made a career of volunteerism to make the industry better for all of our members.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then you mentioned your staff, and that's
Right.
another thing. Look at the phenomenal staff that we now have in there. Look at Lawrence and Bill Malkasian and Victoria Gillespie, and just an amazing new staff.
So, and over the last year and a half, we've done a pretty significant overhaul at NAR. It's not that we didn't have great staff. We needed different blood that came in here, new ideas, new vision. So 70% of the senior staff, I have 10 NAR direct reports. We have diversified the face of who we are. I'm happy to say that we have great gender diversity, 5 women and 5 men that are now my senior reports. That's a big sea change for us too.
Yeah, it is.
And we wanted to make sure that we brought in the best and the brightest. You know, I didn't want to say, here's the ratio of this to that. I said how do I find the best in the industry and best in the world? So, for example, our new Senior VP of Government Affairs, Shannon McGann, is a superstar.
I talked to Bill Malkasian about her yesterday.
She
yes.
is a superstar.
Yeah.
When you see different publications say that she's one of the most 20 powerful women in Washington.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted someone who was the most powerful person that we could get. The fact that she's been written up and having so much influence, and she has influence on both sides of the aisle. What we want is someone that can help change how Washington sees NAR. Why? Because Washington has changed. We know what kind of environment is out there today. So we want to make sure that we can structure our organization to work more effectively with how Washington works, or maybe in this case doesn't work very well, but that we're front and center. So we do have a world-class team that I have brought in and combined with the people that we've had here that we think are the ones that are our leaders to take us into the future.
Let's talk a minute about top-level domains and new top-level domains.
Yeah.
NAR is involved in 2 of them, and we know that there's over 1,000 new top-level domains.
Right.
So the old paradigm is shifting. As a matter of fact, a lot of those old .coms that we bought might have value someday.
Yeah.
Right. So now we've got .realtor. We talked a little bit about that, and then .real estate was recently opened up.
Right. So we were an early player. I mean, you've been a big player, as you know, in the domain space. And when ICANN, the governing body of the internet that governments from around the world work with.
Yes.
In fact, in the U.S., the Department of Commerce is a member of ICANN. We felt it was important that when they were expanding beyond the ones that everybody knew, the .com and .org and .edu for education and some of the .country names, they said, we're going to open this up and create thousands of new top-level domains. And we said, well, hold it. If anybody's going to get .realtor, it better be us. And I felt pretty certain we'd
Confident
get it.
in that one,
I,
right?
I was confident because that's our trademark. But real estate. I mean,
Well, anybody could have bid for
anybody
that, right?
could have. In fact, others bid for that. And I felt it was imperative with our leadership, with people like you, who said it is important for our industry to control that top level domain. So if you think about the power of what that means. So yes, we did win and got .real estate, which was just launched recently. You can go to GoDaddy and many of the other top level or the registrars that serve up top level domains. we thought it was imperative that if you think about it in these terms, that anything to the left of the dot, so any idea of combinations of letters, numbers, symbols, are controlled by the National Association of Realtors.
Under the real estate
Right.
brand
So
itself.
not just the dot realtor, which is great because that's for our members.
Yep.
Dot real estate on anything that happens in that vertical. Think about it. NAR and our members control that, and any combination of things to the left of the dot. So what that means is if there's a player in there that wants to do something and they want that domain, they got to talk to NAR to be able to get it. That is a major win for our members. And actually, I got to again give credit to our leadership that agreed with the staff recommendation 10 years ago that said, let's do this before I can't even release it. And, you know, having the control and power over where the internet is moving. ICANN wants to segment the internet because .com, what does .com mean anymore? You know, you can sit there and be SaulKleinRealEstate.com, and you could be a car dealership. There's no rules around .com.
Yeah.
Under .real estate, you've got to be in the profession in this. The beauty of why we think it's so important that NAR control it like we do .realtor, and what we're telling with consumers with .realtor is you can trust that someone that has a .realtor
Is a
domain
realtor.
is a realtor and abides by a code of ethics. And that's what sets them apart.
When you think about this real estate is a major portion of just about everybody's life.
Yeah.
And so it's huge. And if NAR didn't control real estate, just imagine all the criticism
Right.
that we'd have received because we didn't control what we do,
Well,
which
it
is
was
real
as
estate.
important. It's just as important from a defensive move to make
Yeah.
sure that we did it, but we also wanted to be a proactive opportunity to help set where the internet is going. So, you know, 10 years from now, people are going to look back and say, wow, that was smart that NAR did that on behalf of its members and its industry.
Yeah, absolutely. John and I went in the day that they were offered, and we bought probably 50 or 60 ourselves.
Exactly.
Right?